What is up, guys? It is Losco. Welcome back to another video. There's been a lot of, content relating to the criticisms of KI and their business practices, as well as the current state of the game. There's been a lot of that floating around recently. The first one that kind of started was Liam. Liam made his own video stating about his issues and his problems with the current state of Wizard101. And I really wanted to step in and put my comments on that, because I personally, as a streamer and content creator of this game, I really do feel like there's a lot of issues that have been in the game for years now that still are not solved, that really need to be, put out there. I want to make this perfectly clear to everybody who's watching, because I hear a lot of people say some things that I view to be way too negative about this game. I want to make it perfectly clear to you guys that, like, this is these people's jobs, right? And all we really want them to do is actually do their job properly and do a good job. We're not trying to insult them as people. We're not trying to make them feel like shitty, employees or shitty people in general. We're trying to literally just hold them accountable. Because ultimately, if someone's given a task or job and not doing it correctly, it is the person's job to improve on that and become better at what they're doing, right? And honestly, we haven't seen many KI employees do a good job of that. Don't get me wrong. I've seen some great people in the community. I've seen some really, actual compassionate people that listen to the community, who don't just bend to whatever anybody in the community says, who don't, make rash decisions and stuff like that. And there's a lot of those, of course, who I probably could respect if I got to meet them in the KI, like, a hierarchy or whatever, right? And one of those people is Ratbeard. Me and Ratbeard talk every once in a while. Me and him personally, I've been in call with each other. I've talked about PvP. Like, you guys have seen my roundtable video. I've gotten to talk to him, right? And he's a pretty respectful guy. And, I mean, he's got some good opinions about the game, which some of I actually agree with a large portion of them. However, he doesn't run the company. And unfortunately, I wouldn't be surprised to hear that there's a lot of people in the KI hierarchy that do absolutely nothing. Because I feel like, for how many people are in KI and how many people are focused on Wizard101, we are getting nothing, right? In the end game, past what we have already have in the PvE, area of the game, we get so little content in terms of what we can work on and do every year, that it's natural that people naturally will just die off and quit the game, right? So we got Lemuria, which, in my opinion, the Lemuria world was one of the most impressive updates to the game. I do love how the Lemuria world turned out. I thought it was a lot of fun. There was some interesting, parts of the story in the game. I thought there was some interesting, writing. I thought there were some cool characters, some standout gear, etc. It was actually a step in the right direction. However, there's a flip side to that. The Lemuria update was also at the same time a step forward but 3 steps back. And that's honestly a general theme with KI and their updates to the game, right? 1 step forward, 3 steps back. We finally got what it's like to feel, to play through an enjoyable, a fun, and a worthy world in Wizard101 after years since we got something like that. However, we were met with some of the most buggy and flawed game design ever to be introduced in this game. Roshambo spells should not have been as trusted and as, kind of just, well, how do I describe this? I guess they were kind of just thrusted into the game, you know what I mean? I feel like a lot of these Roshambo spells needed a lot of testing, a lot of community input, a lot of bug fixing, a lot of different things like that. But unfortunately, before we even got to do most of the bug fixing, most of the changes, made sure everything was working as intended, it was kind of just put into the game, right? And that arrives me on the first problem, right? Which is PvP's Scion problem, right? Now let me hop on my Storm for this real quick to show you guys what I mean. This is my Storm Wizard, right? So on my Storm, there is literally a spell I can cast that with 2 buffs for 11 pips can do 15,000 damage. And if that's not enough, those 2 buffs are enough to make it do 15,000. There's no gambit that is required that actually make this a counterable spell. This spell, don't get me wrong, there are some good blade gambits that are able to be accessed to sort of do something against Blade Stack. But in its current state, if you're a decent player playing Blade Stack, and if you're not like a Commander Andy who literally cannot click a Blade card and kill somebody with the most broken card in the fucking game, excuse me for my language, then this is by far the best spell in the game, and it's like insane how good it is. To me, in my perspective, I cannot believe that a spell this clearly bugged and this unintended spell can stay in this game without even being disabled or maybe reworked until it can be implemented correctly is disgusting to me, right? Blade Stack Gambits, until they are fixed, have no place in the game. I'm sorry, guys. They really just do not, okay? And until this gets fixed and until the other Gambits are fully fixed, Roshambo should not be effectively fully implemented into the game. My problem with Wizard101, and this has been a common thing that has also been created in previous updates, is every single time something is added to the game, it is thoroughly unchecked with the community and thoroughly just unneeded, right? Sure, I love the Roshambo idea, right? It was great that Roshambo was added into the game. I think it has some great potential. I think it's a really unique addition. And I also think it has a lot of potential, right? But you can't add 50 spells into a fucking card game and then not bug fix them, bro. There have been so many spells in the overall in Roshambo that have been either visually bugged, gameplay-wise bugged, game-breakingly bugged, like the Oni's projection spell was for several months. And now we have the Scion of Storm, which literally doesn't have a place in the game if it's not being used as it's intended, which is not properly, right? So, again, I don't understand why a spell that's not working as intended can be added to the game and not removed or not audited, right? Scion should not be doing my entire HP with 2 buffs. I'm sorry, dude. No spell should kill me with 2 buffs. It's ridiculous. And the fact that has literally no way to effectively counter it without dedicating your entire deck to it is kind of ridiculous, right? Myth Trap Stack was fine. I didn't mind Myth Trap Stack. I thought Myth Trap Stack actually had a decent place in the game. I thought it was counterable. I thought it matched with what everything else in the game was doing. And I thought that it was fair. But Storm Scion is not fair, and it needs to be changed or disabled until it can be properly fixed. Okay. Now that I have that point out of the way, because stacking has been a huge topic, I want to say the stacking does have a place in the game, right? Hate me all you want, whatever, right? There are plenty of card games or one-shot strategies, or like strategies where you basically buff one character, quote unquote. Like if, let's say you're playing Hearthstone, there's such a thing where you bring out one really OP card and you bring out a bunch of ones that buff it, and eventually they one-shot your character. It happens, right? But that's why you have counters, and that's why you find ways to kind of like cut it at the start of the route, which is of course getting rid of the blades, right? Or getting rid of the traps, which is perfectly fine. Stacking is fine, and of course it shouldn't be happening every game, but sure, if there's a stacking game I get one every 7 or 8 games, one every 5, 6, whatever. At least if it's not every game, I don't really care, because at least I can play around it and I know that there's a counter to it, right? But if I'm getting against a stacker once every 3 games, and I physically cannot beat them because it's like defined by a broken spell that shouldn't even be in the game, there's a problem, right? So that's my first problem. Is stacking, it has its place, in my opinion, but it shouldn't be so ridiculously easy and so ridiculously broken for certain strategies, right? Scion should not be this good, and it needs changed and it needs disabled until there's a proper fix for it. That's my conclusion. Second thing in terms of PvP I want to discuss is I think that stream sniping, as a streamer and as a content creator, is super, super game breaking, right? I can say and confirm that whenever I play against a stream sniper on stream, I literally don't want to play the game anymore, bro. Like, I don't know if you guys have watched Sauce's streams, bro. Mans is kind of losing his mind because of it, right?
If this game isn't gonna get fixed, I'm not gonna play it every night. They need to stop with this clownish nonsense, bro. They need to stop with this clownish garbage. I'm so sick of it. You have a customer for 10 years and you're gonna lose them in an instant. My God, bro. It wasn't even Wiz servers. It was my dumbass. I'm not doing this anymore, dude. I'm not doing this. I'm not. Oh my God, dude. Watch Rapper stream today. He addressed it. No, I'm not. I don't care what happened. I don't care when it happened. I'm sick of this. 3 months of this nonsense doo-doo butter garbage. That is too much time. 90 ass days, bro. You know the last time it took me 90 days to do anything? I can't remember the last time. No. I'm tired of making excuses for this bad company. My God, bro. I'm so sick of this. Players like that should not be able to do what they do. There should be no win condition where you can play like that. You literally put out a patch that said Guardian Spirit costs time, and then it doesn't cost time. You literally put Jin into the game, then make it worse before fixing it. You literally make everything worse, King's Isle. All of y'all suck. My God, bro. You guys suck. You guys are bad and incompetent. My God, bro.
Stream sniping is not fun to play against, right? And it's 1 or 2 times a stream with or without overlay. And that's honestly enough to discourage you from wanting to play. Realistically, if you're a decent player, and if you're playing 4 or 5 games in a stream, you should be gaining maybe should be positive maybe 1 game, 2 games, right? You shouldn't be winning every game, unless, you know, of course, you're cracked on the sticks. But, I mean, if you're streaming, realistically, you know, of course, there's pressure, there's, you know, having to be an entertainer. And if you're good, you should be gaining, you know, 16 rank a stream, realistically. But if you're basically given out the get-go 2 automatic losses because of stream sniping, what are you supposed to do? You can't really gain rank. So I'm stuck basically losing rank on most of my characters, even the characters I'm actually good on, especially my fire. I consider myself a pretty good fire player, and I still like barely maintain low Warlord, which really sucks, because I genuinely want to rank up on that character. But again, it's really hard to rank up whenever I first of all don't play that much, and whenever I do decide to play, I'm automatically basically granted an automatic 16 loss, right? So stream sniping really needs work done. I have some ideas. I think, first of all, hard resist cap might be worth implementing with the game. Maybe in hard 80 cap might be nice. Just to make sure that people can't run into me with 93 res, right? At least that'll help a little bit. I think it would help to ban 80 and 85 shields, like 85 shields and the 80 shields should be banned. Don't get me wrong, 70 shields and 75 shields are fine. But again, I think that would help a little bit with striking and being able to like strike frenzy and do some damage. I think, what else? I think whenever you hop into queue and press escape quit, that shouldn't be a thing. If you guys didn't know, if I go into queue right now and I get a match, I can press escape and then press quit, and then I literally can just dodge the match. If I see my streamer doesn't get me, I can literally just dodge the match immediately, right? And I could go on. There should be so many more changes implemented to prevent stream sniping. Every single game does it. There's no excuse. It should be in the game. It shouldn't be like, oh, this game mechanic will fix stream sniping. Oh, dual school will fix stream sniping. No, it won't. It will just make it just as bad. So please, for the love of God, do something about stream sniping. It's ridiculous. Another thing I want to address is stats are super unfair. A gear audit is extremely in need to happen. My biggest problem and the biggest offender is ICE. ICE has been absolutely just destroyed by the implementation of Motorist Robe. Their stats have been slowly getting worse and worse over time. And it's kind of just ridiculous how bad ICE stats are right now. What's another example? I think balance and death stats are ridiculous. They're getting the same damage, almost the same damage as fire and storm, while getting 15 more resist than them and 1k more HP than them. Maybe even 2k for storm. It's just kind of ridiculous. Gear and stats really need to be looked at, hopefully in the spring or summer update, hopefully sometime soon, because it is really ridiculous and a lot of gear needs audited. This is a more brief point, but pet making is super unfair. It costs a ridiculous amount of money to actually make a pet. I did agree with Rapbeard's comment, which I'll put on screen real quick. In Gume's comment section I saw the other day. I do agree it's supposed to be a grind, but I believe many people agree that it's a little bit too much of a grind. There needs to be more options to get pros, potions, and other ways to train them efficiently. There needs to be pet making needs to be completely looked at. It needs to be completely reformed. So that's just my opinion, and I'm open to hear what you guys have in mind to make pet making a little bit more fair. But I think there's a lot in order that needs to be happening to pet making. In terms of pet making, I also want to address Ward. I think Ward has literally no place in the game, and it never has. If I hop into, like, I don't know, let's say Clash Royale, right? Let's say I'm hopping into a Clash Royale game, right? Of course it's not as competitive as a card game as some others are, but like I don't get to put on a spell or an aura that makes me literally take no damage from a certain school. I can't just be like, you know what? Whenever I hop into this Clash Royale game, P.E.K.K.A.s do 12 damage to my tower instead of 600. That's I think that's fair, right? No, it doesn't work like that, dude. You don't get to just immediately set for whoever can match with you based on your strategy, right? I entirely understand wanting to be prepared for someone who's going to match you. For example, I would be okay with only Proof being a trainable talent in PvP, because I think having 10 resist to a certain school is fair. I think you can at least play around it somewhat, but 15 is way too much, especially with Mighty. It's ridiculous, dude. I should not be able to play on my death and be terrified that I'll play against someone who literally has 30 more, like literally 20 more resist to me than I have, and has the same damage as me, right? It's dumb. It shouldn't be in the game. Ward really needs looked at. Could be replaced with something like, you know, Proof or something instead. It's just, that's how I feel, man. Another thing is I think there should be a poll or some sort of thing about Steel Ward. I think Steel Ward has been a very negatively received spell and, you know, part of the game. I think a poll needs looked at. I think Rapid has his own opinion on it, which I respect, but I think it should be set on a poll because I think there's some people that don't mind it, some people that think it's okay, and some people that just cannot stand the spell. I think it really needs to be more community received and decided on what should be done to balance it more. Because as of right now, that's just very split. A lot of people have their own opinion on it. So definitely more in-depth look at Steel Ward, as it is a big impact on PvP right now. I think that's all I really want to talk about whenever it comes to PvP. There's a lot more I could talk about, but overall, my biggest problem are just mostly those. I think all of those reasons are a big reason as to why Q is so dead. And I think if Q becomes more alive, stream sniping will fix itself, but also until that happens, we need more countermeasures for it, and that's just a big thing. That's personally my biggest complaint with the game right now, is stream sniping. And Storm Scion are my two biggest problems if I had to state them and rank them by most, you know, problematic, right? But now I want to kind of usher this more into a PvE structure. I want to look at the issues with PvE because I wrote down a lot about these. I've been questing the past day or two, and I really wanted to just structure my thoughts together and say my biggest problems with PvE, gear, and etc., right? So my first big problem with PvE and just the overarching issue is that PvE is still very glitchy and flawed. There's still so many like unfinished parts of PvE that genuinely feel like wholeheartedly just broken, right? Why is it that Azteca and Chrysalis are still not reworked? Everybody hates the worlds, dude. I know so many people. You know what? Actually, I would vouch for 90% of people if I said that some of us don't have our characters maxed simply because of Chrysalis and Azteca. That is literally the reasons why some of us don't have all of our characters maxed, is because Chrysalis and Azteca are some of the most boring and dreadfully designed worlds ever in any MMO ever. Like, it is awful how they're designed. Not only are the battles super repetitive and super unfun, but it's ridiculously long. The fights are repetitive, the collects are repetitive, and the mob fights are repetitive. The story is repetitive. I could go on. It's not fun. Both of the worlds are awful, and they need reworked desperately. I would literally be fine skipping out on a world for a year or something if we literally just got some of the past worlds reworked, because some of them are awful, and they need desperately reworked. It's like awful, right? There's not really many challenges or enjoyable dungeons anymore. Hall of Heroes was a cool dungeon. I love the twist they did on it, but I genuinely think it was way too buggy. Needed a lot more looks at. Still has not been. Most of the bugs in Hall of Heroes are still not fixed. There's literally a glitch where in Hall of Heroes, if someone joins late, you have to sit through 2 minutes of cheats to make up for that, which is really annoying. So that's, I mean, just a one glitch, for example, that really it breaks the game and makes it a lot of really unfun. And on top of that, I mean, whenever it comes to dungeons, there hasn't been a gear improvement or stat improvement from like a big dungeon that was enjoyable like Darkmoor in so long, right? Dragoon was great and all, but it was one of the most repetitive gear making processes ever made. I love the fact that they made it so you can like craft it, and so it's not, you know, based entirely on luck and what you get, and you can get like 7 of each school pieces of gear and still not get the death hat. You know what I mean? Like, I'm glad that wasn't a thing. But for the love of God, why is there no way to get all of the why is there no way to get the pieces dropped that isn't Fellspawn, man? And why isn't there more like access to more dungeons? Or even like a way to pay off the gear like there was with Darkmoor. How with Darkmoor you could open the chest if you really didn't want to do all that grinding. Why isn't there more options like that, especially with gear like Dragoon and Merciless? Why isn't that a thing anymore? You know, if you guys really want money so bad, why isn't there a way for people to buy chests to bypass ridiculously low drop rates or ridiculously hard grinds? Because, I mean, don't get me wrong, right? I don't mind the grind, but there's some people I know who would willingly pay, you know, hundreds of dollars to make sure that they don't have to spend 20 plus hours on each of their characters getting a specific set of gear, right? Hey man, there's people like that, and I mean, if you guys are going for a financial plan, you could easily profit out of PvE if you literally just add chests to more, you know, repetitive and low drop rate fights. It's that simple, right? And I've been saying, people have been saying this for years. Don't make paying the necessity. Make it an option. That's how it should be. And that's a big precedent that has clearly not been followed recently in the previous years, especially for PvP. Another thing I want to say is I feel like there's been no gear improvement in terms of this dungeon type thing. Ever since Dragoon, I feel like we haven't really got enough gear updates. There hasn't been big, massive, you know, increases in gear or stats that make me really want to farm a dungeon. For example, on my like fire, why would I want to farm Merciless, dude? I'm literally 20 levels behind on gear, and it still works perfectly fine, right? And on my Storm exam, for example, I'm 20 levels behind on gear, and it still works perfectly fine, perfectly meta. I've been hearing KI devs say that it's ridiculous that, you know, of course people are still using level 100 pieces of gear and stuff like that, but there's still literally no updates and no, like, you know, changes to make that, you know, not a thing anymore. There's been no new gear that's actually created a good. There's been literally no new resist hats in 50 goddamn levels, dude. We have waited 50 levels for a new Malistaire hat, and still nothing new. No new defensive hat. We've been waiting so long, and this is still the only one you can use. Literally, it's ridiculous. What else do we got? Oh yeah, pay to win gear options are at an all-time high. Like I said earlier, Motorist Robe. I have 3 of these, and it's ridiculous I've had to spend all that money to get 3 of these, but I have, just to be competitive in PvP. It's just, you can't even compare this robe to anything else in the game, right? Like, if I could show you, like, let me go on my fire real quick to show you the ridiculous contrast between Dragoon gear or Dragoon and Merciless gear to the Murderous robe. It's so dumb that this robe is universal and even in the game in the first place. Like, look at this, dude. Like, come on, man. Come on. Why is there a robe for money that gives 300 more health, way more block, 6 more res, 2 more pierce, and good shads? And it's 10 levels behind. Still. Like, it's ridiculous. Motorist Robe is one of the most terrible mistakes in terms of gear setups that has been made for PvP in years. And as soon as you guys make a pay-to-win option, you cannot reverse it because people spent money on it. So that's what's so infuriating, is you can't even reverse the change. So why add pay-to-win gear in the first place? If you want to add, like, varieties to it, like if you don't want to make Dragoon gear, you know, chestable or whatever, unlockable through chests, then make a pack setup that gives the exact same stats. I don't understand. Make a pack piece of gear that maybe gives 1 more power pip, but has the exact same stats as this. Maybe this exact same pair of boots, but gives 9 power pip or something. Just as a small incentive for paying, but it's not enough to where, like, you know, I'm not obviously going to lose because someone has, you know, the 1% more power pip than me or the 1% more accuracy than me. You know what I mean? If you want to add small changes like that are quote-unquote pay to win, fine, that's fair. But, like, don't make entire robes and gear based on, you know, like paying for pieces of gear. And of course, KI never has a response to these pieces of gear. You know, they're always, you know, like, completely dead silent whenever somebody's like, well, why is motorist robe in the game? Like, no, they never say anything because they know it's dumb and it shouldn't be in the game. And what's one more thing I want to focus on? Oh yeah, finally, I want to focus on one more thing, which is spells. Some of the most pivotal new spells on top of Scion are still glitched. Still glitched. Fire Scion and all the Scions still glitched. Almost all of the caramel spells still glitched. Plenty of the new Lemuria spells still glitched or outdated or don't work or aren't good in any scenario, right? Don't even have any use. What else? I mean, there's so many spells that are still ridiculously, you know, bugged, don't make sense, don't add up or don't do the right damage. Like, there's so many glitched new spells that haven't been looked at. However, there's still new spells being added into the game. Why is it that we got 50 new Roshambo spells, but literally Shatterhorn still breaks audio? Still breaks audio. Why is it that we're getting a new spell, or new 50 spells, but Scion still goes under the stage? I don't understand. I don't understand why this is a thing. Right, don't get me wrong, I don't use Scion that much, so if it's not a glitch anymore, you can go and comment, I'm not sure. But even if it is fixed, it took way too long, man. A glitchy spell shouldn't go past, like, test realm. It shouldn't, dude. It really, really, really shouldn't. And I don't understand why it's still happening. So, overall, I'm just gonna leave it at that. I'm pretty upset with the state of the game. Honestly, after I heard a lot of Liam's points, after I heard a lot of other people's points, you know, whenever people say this game's bad, they don't say it just to say it. A lot of people really do believe this game is bad, and for good reason. I do believe there's so much potential for this to be one of the best competitive card games of all time. I think this game could be so much fun and such a great game to introduce people to card games into, since it's a kid's game, of course, so it could be a great, you know, entryway into competitive card games for some people, for some younger people. But this game's just not doing a great job. We really, really, really need more attention to detail. We really need devs to work harder. We need more solutions and more than just 1 or 2 spokespeople for the community, aka Rapbeard and Spark. We need more than just 2, man. We need active updates, active questions, more than just 1 tweet from the Wizard101 devs every, like, month. We need more updates, man. We really do need more updates, more dev diaries, more. And they're doing a great job and they're getting better about it, but it's not enough, man. It doesn't... What is stopping people from quitting the game, giving up their $10 a month, and just buying Elden Ring, man? Or buying another game, or buying, I don't know, some other game, right? You could literally buy an indie game every single month in replacement for Wizard101 that probably has triple the quality control, triple the addition to the game, triple the end game content. Wizard101 needs to realize that, or KI, I guess, needs to realize that nothing is stopping their players from quitting the game and literally buying a game buying a game from a company who gives so much more love and attention to their players. And if this doesn't change, I could easily foresee this game dying in the next year, maybe even less. Overall, that's my rant. Hoping to God, crossing my fingers that somehow the spring update changes things. But as of right now, in our current state, we really need a lot more to come to the game. We need a lot more, you know, round tables, a lot more conversations with the community, a lot more spokespeople, and overall PvP needs entirely looked at. There's a lot more changes I have in mind. I didn't even finish speaking about some of the stuff I wanted to speak about PvP, but I moved on simply because I'm optimistic about some of the things that I've spoke about, such as like incentives to PvP. I've heard those are coming. They're just under the wraps as of right now. Stuff like that, stuff to keep people playing, stuff like that is still under the wraps. But overall, in terms of gameplay, bugs, etc., stats, some of the most encouraging things people have to play the game are still extremely messed up, extremely not fixed, extremely broken, and just don't even get fixed, right? So that's my 30-minute rant on Wizard101. I figured I kind of wanted to make one in the spirit of Liam because, I feel like he made some great points that I really wish I would have made in previous commentary videos. Overall, appreciate you guys sticking around this long if you are at the end of this video. Please, 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 get your voice out there, but do not, for the love of God, do not insult the devs. Again, it is their job. They're creating art. They're creating a game. But we need to be extremely, sometimes you gotta have some tough love, right? Sometimes you gotta be like, how the hell is this not fixed? Because it really should be, right? Overall, I'm gonna stop explaining all this because you guys get my point. But anyway, peace out, guys. Hope you guys have a good rest of your day. And make sure you sub or like if you enjoyed this video. If you want more commentary videos, hopefully I can have some more videos with maybe some more PvP in the background or something. But yeah, anyway, that's it. Peace out, guys, and take care. See ya.